child support is far from the truth of what they make it to be and what it actually is.
You might have to take notes on this bitch. Hey, y'all know what's going on. This is bandmankevo. Welcome back to the Famous and Wealthy podcast, man. Today we got my boy TJ in the building. We're going to be talking about all child support, man. How to avoid child support, correct, bro?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, what I want to know, bro, is, it's a lot of fathers that's out there that's dealing with child support and, even including myself. Like, drop some knowledge on us, bro.
Bruh, child support. Like, when people say child support and they think, when you hear child support, there's this stigma about child support. It's a negative stigma about child support to where nobody wants to be associated with child support. Because when you hear child support, you're thinking deadbeat, like, oh, you not taking care of your kids.
Right.
Because you have people that's on the internet in these comments, they always saying, if you took care of your kids, you wouldn't be on child support. Like, that's far from, like, bruh, every parent that I know, my friends from 25 years or more that was on child support, take great care of their kids, and it was still put on child support because they was dealing with a bitter baby mama.
Wow.
The relationship ended, and they couldn't let that hurt go. So when you hear child support, I like to child. I just like to, make it, because child support isn't child support. Child support is called Title 4D. Child support is a marketing strategy for Title 4D of the Social Security Act.
And what is Title 4D for the people that don't know?
Title 4D is an enforcement to force non-custodial parents to contribute financially. But to understand Title 4D, we have to go back and understand Title 4A of the Social Security Act. So Title 4A of the Social Security Act was implemented in 1935 when at that time there was the Great Depression, men was going to war, and women barely could work in 1935. So if a man left his woman in 1935 or he went to war in 1935, women couldn't support themselves or their children. So they came up with this program, cash aid, the Medicaid, and the food stamps to be able to aid needy families. In 1935, no problem with this program. The problem came in 1974 and 1975 when they started to look at it and say, hey, where are we giving out all of this free money? Because it is, Title 4A is a grant. If you look at the Social Security website today, Title 4A is a block grant. What is a grant? A grant is a gift. A gift is something that's given voluntarily without any counterbalancing payment. There's no compensation. So it's a gift. But when you look at Title 4D, Title 4D is enforcing, it's constrained, you're obligated. You have an obligation. So let me ask you this. How are you obligated to participate in something that's voluntary and obligated to pay back money that was given as a gift? These are the questions that I pose in my actual child support hearing, because what I broke down to them, this is what you're saying child support is, and I'm going to show you what it's not. Child support is a marketing strategy for Title 4D. When you hear child support, it's like, oh, you ain't taking care of your kids. But if I say, yo, Kevo, you paid your Title 4D? Like, what the hell is Title 4D? It's not, Title 4D isn't sexy. It's not appealing. It don't poke those emotions. But when you hear child, it's like, oh, you ain't taking care of your kids. And child support is far from the truth of what they make it to be and what it actually is.
So let me ask you something. As far as like, a guy and a girl, they're together. Who do you think should get the kid as far as income wise? Okay, if I make more money, I feel like if they can afford to pay for the kid, then just give the kid to whoever can afford to pay, father or mother.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's logic.
Now, if I got a job or whatever and, you got a job and we're even, then I feel like it should be joint. It should be literally everything should be even. Just like we both had a kid, we both can afford to pay. It shouldn't be this girl gets all the custody or this guy getting all the you know what I mean? Like, because it don't make sense to me. Like, They go off of how much you make. Oh, you make $1 million? Well, you should give this much.
And that's crazy too, because so what I don't like to deal with emotions. Opinions are welcome, but I deal with facts and evidence. That's it. There's a Supreme Court case law. It's called Santowski versus Kramer, which says that every natural parent has a fundamental liberty interest in the care, custody, and management over their children. Now, what does that mean for the people that don't understand it? That means that you are a natural parent over this child. That means that you are guaranteed, like you said, 50-50 over this child. It is backed by the United States Constitution. But there's a problem when people go through family court and there's a very small window when paternity is established. Paternity can be established in several instances. In the hospital, where the person, the woman, she gave birth, and during that quiet time, after that hour is over, the lady come in with that clipboard, real somber. Take your time, don't rush, fill this out. She just handed you an acknowledgement of paternity. At that point, they're trying to establish paternity. That's a dual contract with the birth record agencies and child support services. In that very small window, if the man does not claim joint physical custody, they're going to presume that you waiving your rights to your parental rights and that you have abandoned your child, 1935, and that you are now giving full custodial rights to the other parent. But Santowski versus Kramer, that says that you have a fundamental liberty interest in the care, custody, and management over your children, no matter what you make. So if a person is not doing great financially and they can't pay and they have to go get government assistance, then yes, it should go to the parent that's financially stable. But that's not in the best interest of the child. Because what's in the best interest of a child is to have a fundamental relationship with both parents. So it should be equal no matter how much you make. Now, if the other parent is unfit, then now we're talking full custodial rights, and now you get visitation and monitor visit depending on whether you're psychologically or whether you're on drugs or whatever the case may be. But every parent should have 50-50, and it's backed by the United States Supreme Court.
So most cases that I see, guys go to jail and stuff like that. I see guys get their license suspended. Deal with a lot of stress with women. How do you feel about, them acting like they want the family to be together and stuff like that, but, they be quick to lock the dad up if he don't pay child support, but they push this, oh, you should be in your kid's life and this and that. But y'all, and then also they push, oh, it's not all about money. What about those people? Oh, it's not all about money, but y'all are going to lock this man up if he don't make these payments, especially if the lady is getting the child support from the state.
Bruh, again, I deal with facts and evidence.
Yeah.
5 women from Arizona sued child support. It's called Blessing versus Freestone. This is the #1 case in child support. Blessing versus Freestone. 5 women from Arizona sued child support because they were getting government assistance. Child support was taking all the money. The 5 women said, hey, why are you taking all the money? Like, how are we supposed to support these kids? Child support said, no, that ain't your money. That's our money. And they was like, well, what happened to the best interest of the child? In that case, to keep the money, child support services had to tell on themselves. They said that child support was not in the best interest of the child. It was never intended for the child, nor the custodial parent. It was intended to benefit the state. This is Blessing versus Freestone. So for you to say that it ain't about the money, you actually told on yourself. This came from your own mouth to keep the money. So it's all about the money. It's all about incentives. They get incentivized on the back end. 42 USC 658A. Don't take my opinion. Look it up. Do you know that in the year of 2024, the federal government approved $713 million in incentives? What are incentives? Incentives are kickbacks. It's a bonus on top of their regular pay. So the more child support they collect, the more paternity they establish, the more careers, based on their performance, they get a kickback. The government approved $713 million in free money for the year of 2024. I mean, for the year of 2024. For this year, they approved $713 million free dollars.
Wow.
Don't tell me it ain't about the money. It ain't about these kids. And at any point where they're talking about child support is in the best interest of the child, Blessed versus Freestone. I'm going to put, this is what you said. How is it about the best interest of the child?
Man, ladies.
It is not. It's not. So, and then when, as far as like people just going to get, there's a lot of people that with relationships, they just, relationships, they fall to the wayside.
Yeah.
But, and then you have those people that just run to, I'm going to put you on child support. Why is the first thing that comes out of your mouth, you finna put me on child support?
Because it's about the money.
Because it's about the money. So don't tell me that it ain't about the money. Because even if I came to you, there's been situations to where men have actually went to the women and said, look, let's just make an agreement between us. I'll give you X amount of dollars a month, way more than what you get through child support.
Right.
Nah, I'm not doing it. It's that control.
Right.
It's the control. So don't tell me that it's not about the money.
So for the people that's watching, right, when the women don't receive, child support directly and they actually use the state, how does that affect them?
When they use the state?
Yeah, instead of like, so you know how you can set up child support and they can be getting it directly from the guy.
Okay.
How does it affect them when they actually go through the state, like government assistance and stuff like that? Let them know about that.
Oh, yeah. So in that, child support can collect up to 66% on every dollar. So every dollar that they collect, they can keep 66%.
Right.
So 66 cents of every dollar they're keeping that's to the tuck.
So the girls that be happily about the cheap little check every week,
yeah,
they could really get more.
Yeah, of course,
if they just did it directly. But
it's the control.
But also, it could just be a finesse where they started through the state, cut it off through the state, and then get the money, straight up through the guy.
But in order for them to do that, because they have to now cut off those benefits. They got to cut off the food stamps. They got to cut off the cash aid.
Yeah.
They got to cut off those benefits to be able to get it direct, because as long as you're receiving those benefits, we're going after the other person. So, but here's the thing. Also, too, in Blessing versus Freestone, not only did they say that it wasn't in the best interest of the child, they also told those 5 women from Arizona, we actually can keep we're only supposed to give you $50 or whatever that we keep. Whatever we collect, we only supposed to give you $50. And we keep everything else. So anything other than that, you need to humble yourself, because we're giving you a bonus. This is what they told them. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. It's in Blessing versus Freestone.
Wow.
Look it up. So yes, you can be getting more if you had a private agreement with the other parent of your child. Y'all made the child in private. So why are you now dealing with these people in the public?
Right. That's crazy. So, like, as far as let me see. So, you ready, Roger? All right. So, how can a system better address non-custodial parents and parents who are unemployed versus parents who are employed?
When we talk about non-custodial parents, that I don't like that term. Like, non-custodial parent says that you're guilty. It says that you're guilty of abandoning your child in family court. I'm not a non-custodial parent. Bro, let me tell you something. When I walked into my hearing, my very first hearing, it says NCP on the table. It has a tag. It says NCP. Yeah. Objection. They looking around. The hearing ain't even started yet. What are you objecting to? It says NCP. Have I been found guilty of a crime? They looking, the fake judge said, nah, you haven't been found guilty of anything. Okay, well, I'm not sitting here. Objection. She said, from here, please remove the NCP tag from that table. And from here on out, everyone referred to Mr. Tillman as Mr. Tillman, because I understood they work under presumption. So anything that I didn't agree with in that hearing, I objected to, because it is presumed that you agree if you don't object. So had I sat at that table where it said NCP, I'm agreeing that I'm a non-custodial parent. A non-custodial parent, now you have an obligation, you're consenting. It's all consent. Child support is voluntary. So if you volunteer by express or implied consent, just by showing up to these hearings, you're volunteering into the program. If you don't it's called a general appearance.
But what about if you get a warrant?
If you get a warrant, that means that things have took place far way before you even get to that warrant. That means that a summons was sent out. They didn't respond. There was a hearing that was set up. That person didn't show up. So now, now there was an order that was put in place. They didn't pay. So it's multiple steps that goes in place before you even get to that warrant. So the worst thing that a person can do is not show up to that hearing. If you don't show up, you get a default. That's the worst thing you can do. I would show up under special appearance. That's what I did. A special appearance says that I don't recognize your authority. I'm only here to examine the evidence against me. I'm not waiving any of my rights. I'm just here to examine the evidence filed against me. And now when I'm challenging jurisdiction, you have to prove to me that you have the proper evidence and jurisdiction to even be talking to me about money. Let me tell you this. We're talking about child support. Family court deals with custody, timeshare, things of that nature. Child support deals with money only. KEVO, how much can you pay? That's it. I represented myself in a 2-year hearing against child support, where we're only talking about money. Money only came up one time in 2 years of my hearing. Why? Because I didn't allow them to bring up money. I was only making them prove to me that you have jurisdiction over me. I'm talking about the evidence. When you filed this case in the very beginning, did you do it correctly? Yes or no? I'm not talking about money. As soon as when they did, she had a thick stack of documents and said, Mr. Tillman made voluntary payments. Objection. Those payments were not made voluntary. They were made under duress. You sent income withholding orders to my employer. You garnished my taxes. You said if I didn't pay, you're going to suspend my license, possibly put me in jail. That's under duress. That's not voluntary.
Right.
What is voluntary? Voluntary is on your own will and you're consenting. I didn't consent to that. You took that.
Right.
That's not voluntary. That's not voluntary. So, no, I'm not a non-custodial parent. Anybody that agrees and allow them to call you a non-custodial parent, you are admitting guilt. You're saying that I've been found guilty of in family court. I have abandoned my child. No, I've never abandoned my child. My child is not dependent nor needy upon government assistance. I am present. And I even object to my child being in that program under 42 USC 1301D, which says that no federal agent or government agency can take charge over a child over the objection from either parent. It didn't say custodial parent. It didn't say non-custodial. It said from either parent. So I can object to my child being in this program. I just have to provide insurance for the child, because in America, a child has to have insurance. I would rather pay my own insurance for my child than using your services where you're going to add arrears and things of this nature. Thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
I'm not a non-custodial parent. I'm present. Every natural parent has a fundamental liberty interest in the care, custody, and management. Family court and child support, they're totally separate, but they like to blend them together. Family court is judicial because these family court hearings, they're held in front of an actual judge most of the times. Child support is not judicial because these are attorneys acting as temporary judges. So therefore, you have to consent to have that person in that fake black robe acting as a temporary judge. You're not even a judicial officer. You don't have the authority to enter a money judgment. So no, I'm challenging jurisdiction. Show me the evidence to prove that you got jurisdiction over me. And how did I do that? I went to the clerk's office. At that fake court, I obtained a copy of the summons, the complaint, the proof of service, the default, and the judgment. Why? Because those are the documents that they must file to open these cases. If those documents are not filed and done correctly within 3.5 years, the case has to be closed and it can never be opened again.
Wow. Did they have it right on the spot?
So my case was, when I took them to court 20 years later. So my documents were not just in a computer, so they had to go get them off of something called microfilm. So I had to come back in a few days, and I came back and picked it up. They charged me 50 cents per page. It's not a lot of documents. But what they like to do is tell you, oh, well, you need to get a copy of your whole file. And then they try to charge people $200 some. No, you don't need all that. I just need these 4 to 5 documents. It's only 50 cents per page. You're spending less than $20 to challenge jurisdiction. There was no way that I could have challenged jurisdiction without those documents in my hand. And what I found out in those documents, there's something called 28 USC, that's United States Code 1691, which says that all writs and process, meaning everything that's filed in this court hearing, it must be under the seal of the court and signed by the clerk thereof. So in my case, seal of the court says Los Angeles County Superior Court. That's the seal. And the county clerk is the clerk over the entire county, not that fake deputy clerk inside of that building. When I went and looked at my documents, some of the documents was missing seals. It wasn't signed by a clerk. It was signed by a deputy clerk. There was my proof of service. It was completely blank. It wasn't even filed. They was enforcing child support on me for 22 years when some of these documents were completely blank. But you don't know this until you go get the documents. Oh, my actual order was signed by an attorney. An attorney cannot enter a money judgment. I'm sure you watched Law and Order at some point.
Yeah.
They come knocking on the door. Judge, we need you. We need your signature. Right. Why? We need to go in these people's house. They're coming to take your property, and it's the same thing. In order for that case to be valid, it has to be signed by an actual judge. Damn,
that's wild.
But people don't know this. They gonna know it now because we here on bandmankevo, and we dropping these gems.
Hey, you better say it. So look, I know you told me you was from Compton, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what was life like growing up?
It was ups and downs, bro. Like, as kids, we had great, playing marbles, riding bikes, putting bikes together with your friends. But once we start, that's in elementary, but once we start getting to junior high, things started to change because now we're getting more involved in the gang activities, and now we're getting shot at on the street where we live at as a teenager. Like, this is where I live. I can't get up and go move nowhere else. Like, bro, I say this, and I don't say it's nothing to brag about, and it's nothing that I want my children to ever have to go through. Bro, I was shot at 5 times before I turned 18 years old. Yeah. On the street that I lived on, or around the corner from where I lived. I can't go nowhere. Yeah. And I ain't talking about just random acts of pop, pop. Oh no, that's him. Like, bro, it's wild, but we had great times. But like that lifestyle, dog, that's nothing that I want my boys to have to endure, because that when you think about it, that's trauma. Yeah. Like, no kid should have to be shot at.
Exactly.
At a 13, 12 years old, 15, 16. Like, that's trauma, bro. That's wild. So that's nothing I never want my kids to grow up in.
So look, when you meet females nowadays, right? Or are you married?
Yeah, I'm married.
Oh, okay. Well, you got kids?
Yeah. So my daughter, she just turned 18. She just graduated from Inglewood High School. Hey, 7. She just graduated last week. My boys is 9 and 11.
Oh, okay, that's what's up. I was finna ask, like, I knowing it's difficult, like, if you meet a girl and you know so much about child support, you know what I mean, and you get with her, and the way child support, she'll probably be like, oh shit, like, it's hard to run game on you.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, and that's the thing. Like, everyone needs to educate themselves. Yeah. Because this is information that's We in the internet age, bro.
Right.
All this information that I'm dropping to you, I found it on the internet. I didn't go to school for this. I'm not an attorney. This ain't legal advice. This is just my experiences dealing with child support. Everyone should educate themselves, because at one point or another, you may be married now, but what in the event that you get divorced?
Yeah.
Then they're going to add on child support onto a judicial matter, which is a violation of the separation of powers. Anybody that's married and get divorced, if they added child support onto that divorce, that's unconstitutional. There's something called the separation of powers. There's 3 branches of government: judicial, legislative, and executive branch. That says that if you partake in one branch of government, you can't partake in the other branch of government. But child support operates in all 3 branches of government. Legislative, that creates the law. Executive enforces the law. Judicial interprets the law. Child support make their own family codes, legislative. They modify and enforce their own family code, child support. And they find you guilty in their own state hearings. That's judicial. That's violation of separation of powers. So family court, a divorce, that's part of a judicial process, because you're in front of a real judge in an Article 3 court, which means this is a real courtroom, real judge. But once they add on this administrative child support hearing onto this judicial process, it's unconstitutional. It's a violation of separation of powers. So therefore, that child support is actually void.
Wow.
It's void. It's void. Like, when I want you to understand what I'm saying. Many people go through divorces, and they add, divorce is a judicial process. Once you add an administrative process onto this judicial process, it's now void. Meaning, there's a Supreme Court case law, or it's appellate court. It's called County of San Diego versus Gorham, which says that void judgments are void past, present, and future. Anything that flows through it or come out of it is void.
So if a female is trying to request more money, for anybody that's watching, like if a guy got a job and she's trying to request more money, what do you suggest?
It's different with me, dog. Like, I'm not even finna talk to you about money in this hearing. I'm only talking about evidence.
Right.
That's the problem where everybody mess up at. I'm not talking to you about money. I'm talking to you about evidence. You're going to be in here trying to get a modification saying, okay, he made more money. He got a promotion, or whatever the case may be. He got a new car, so he must got some new money. You want to be in here talking about money. Once you talking about money, if you're talking about money in your child support hearing, you already lost. You lost already. The case is over, because you're saying that you're guilty. I'm only talking about evidence. Before we even get to the money, let's take it back to the beginning. What about the summons, the complaint, the proof of service, the default, the judgment? Did you do that correctly? Because if that wasn't done correctly, everything after that is void. I just told you. Past, present, and future. So we're not even finna talk about money. Now, if you decide to want to go in there and allow them to talk about money, and you want a modification, is a general appearance. You're asking them for relief. I'm not asking for no modification. I'm challenging jurisdiction. We got to change our mindset, dog.
Right.
We have to change our mindset. Bro, I could have just got my case dismissed for fraud and went on about my merry way. I couldn't let my people continue to go through this. I did not want my success to be an individual success. We have to change our mindset. If you're talking, this my camera? Mm-hmm. If you're talking about money in your child support hearing, you already lost. You lost already. Right. Stop. You already lost. Evidence. Evidence is the key. So I can't put it to you no better than that, bro. Like my whole purpose is to educate our people. So yeah, had you had a random person that come in here and they gonna come in, yeah, well, if you make more money, and I'm not even finna talk to you about money. Right. Once you do that, you already lost, KEVO. It's over. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
I'm going straight off of evidence. That's it. She finna be in here ready to talk about how much you made. She's irrelevant in this case because I'm only talking about child support. What did you do? What did the clerk do? Who signed these documents? What are these procedural errors? We got to change our mindset when dealing with these people because they do this every day. They got people walking in here, volunteering. Even they saying, well, I didn't sign nothing. I didn't sign nothing. I didn't show up to a hearing. How they taking my money? You volunteered. How did I volunteer? Because you didn't sign nothing. You didn't show up. They presume that you agree with whatever we said. It's under your silence is acquiesce. So if you don't challenge jurisdiction, you're making a general appearance.
Damn, that's wild.
It's different, dog. It's different.
That's wild.
We got to change our mindset.
So they basically scamming.
Of course, and they get you to volunteer without you even knowing it. So when you going in there and you saying, well, I don't know how you even taking my money. Sir, you already volunteered already. You consented already. You gave us jurisdiction.
Damn. Yeah, that's deep. So how did you even get on child support?
Fraud.
Yeah.
Fraud. Bro, I found out about my child support case 7 years after it opened. 7 years. How did I find out about it 7 years after it opened? Because when they open these cases, the proof of service, they have to send you the summons and the complaint. The summons is the document that says that somebody's suing you. The complaint says that this is the injured party. This is the person that injured them. These are the damages. They have to send you the summons and complaint. There have to be a proof of service. The process server or the sheriff or whoever serves says that I served bandmankevo on this date at this time at this location. He got it, or I left it with Mary quite contrary, or however I did it. There's a process that has to take place.
Right.
What I found out 20 years later is that child support told the courts that they served me at a location which I later proved was a vacant house. It was vacant. They served me at a vacant house, so therefore I didn't even know about the hearing. I didn't know about it. So how did I prove that? As I'm looking at the proof of service, I see the date on which they said that they served me. And I'm like, I didn't live there at that day. And we used to live there, but when we lived there, I was a minor. So I know when we moved from there, I was still a minor. So if my mother and my grandmother moved, that means I moved. So what did I do? I made Los Angeles County testify against Los Angeles County. I subpoenaed Los Angeles County Department of Water and Power to come testify who lived at this address on this date. They came and said, on this date, we didn't even have any power there. No power, no water. Nobody lived there. And this man's mother and grandmother, they moved from this location 6 months ago. They lived at this address, and this is where they had power at. So how could you serve somebody here on this date at this time?
Wow. That's deep.
But you don't know this until you go back to the beginning to get that summons, the complaint, the proof of service, the default, and the judgment. It all starts in the beginning. Even with paternity. Like I was telling you, there are several instances where paternity can be established in a hospital by giving DNA, voluntary acknowledging paternity, in a hearing, or if you're married, there's no DNA, you are deemed the legal father. Whenever paternity is being established, there's something called 45 CFR 303.5. That's the Code of Federal Regulations, which says that whenever you're in the hospital, just say you're in the hospital, you gave birth, you signed the voluntary acknowledgement of paternity in the hospital. Yeah. At that point, they must, I'm on my Dr. Umar, so I got to say it 3 times. Yeah. They must, at a minimum, give you notice of the legal consequences of establishing paternity. What are the legal consequences? license suspensions, passport withholdings, income withholding orders, bank levies, liens, possible jail time. But how must they give you notice? They must give you notice by, one, have you putting on some headphones and listen to it? Have you watch it on a video? Or have somebody verbally tell you these legal consequences of establishing paternity? If they do not, paternity was never established. If paternity was never established, they didn't even have jurisdiction to even serve you with the summons, to even serve you with the complaint. It starts in the beginning. I'm not talking about money. I'm only talking about evidence, dog.
Right.
Evidence. That's the key. That's jurisdiction comes from evidence. Let's put it on in some street terms so people can understand this.
Right.
Police come kick in somebody though.
Yeah.
They said they find drugs, they find guns, whatever money, whatever they find. But let's say the warrant wasn't signed by an actual judge. Everything that they found in that house is inadmissible. It can't be used now because the warrant was not valid. It's the same process. If the paternity was never established correctly, or if the summons, the complaint, all of those documents were not done correctly in the very beginning, everything else after it never happened, dog.
Wow. Pertaining to child support.
Pertaining to child support, bro.
Deep.
It never happened.
That's deep.
It never happened.
Yeah.
I'm here to change our people mindsets. You now have the education to know, taking it back to the beginning, talking about money you already lost.
It's deep. So yeah, as far as like mentorship, do you like do mentorships and stuff on child support?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so like everything that I do can be found on childsupportisfraud.com.
Okay, child support is fraud.
But take care of them kids though, because this ain't no get out of jail free card.
Exactly.
Now, and when people go to childsupportisfraud.com, it lets them know biggest day. I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice. This is just my experiences dealing with child support. And results may vary based on your performance.
Right.
I'm providing you with the education, the laws, the case law, and the Supreme Court case law. But if you're not using it properly, then is based on your performance. But as far as mentorship, that's why I have these mentorships, so I can educate our people on how to go in here and create competent defenses for themselves without an attorney. And why? Because so as far as like the mentorships, just say for instance, like I have live master classes.
Yeah.
Father's Day is right around the corner.
Yeah.
So just this Thursday, I'm holding a live Father's Day masterclass where I'm going to be breaking down how I was able to get rid of the arrears, how I was able to get my license back before my case got dismissed for fraud, how I was able to get my passport back, how I was able to not be held in contempt for non-payment while challenging jurisdiction. All of these things are covered in my book, How I Stop Child Support Legally. But in that masterclass, I cover everything that we covered today, and I'm actually showing you the actual case law, the codes, my actual documents in my court hearing.
Yeah.
You actually seeing my actual documents. So in these master classes, we break it. They typically run in like 3.5 hours. Ooh. So yeah, we busting it down like with everything. So it's going down this Thursday, and every other Thursday we have a master class, but this one is special because I'm going to be revealing some things that I've never revealed before. Like there's an actual document that I found in my hearing that child support didn't want nobody to see. They actually struck it from the record, meaning that I never found it. And I'm going to be revealing that in this master class. As far as the mentorships, I had the mentorships. It's $12,500. Yeah. But that's for like that's a lifetime membership. To where we having right now, I'm in Miami with you.
Yeah, exactly.
To where I'm flying out to your city. We sitting at the table busting it down, like getting to it. Like this ain't just no regular. But even if that's we have the lower tiers as far as this 5,000 where we can. We jumping on Zoom throughout the duration as
smart.
We educate ourselves.
I feel like a lot of people need that because you know, a lot of people are having trouble and don't know what you know. Like, I'm shocked even hearing what you be telling me. So I'm like, if I got money and I feel like, shit, I'm going through something, I feel like I can hit you up and I want to do some one-on-one, you know, I feel like it's worth it because you're going to spend it anyway.
Yeah. And at first, like, people was been asking me, yo, when you going to be doing the one-on-ones? And, man, could you fly out? I'm like, nah, my main thing is I just wanted to educate our people. I want you to have the understanding first. I don't want to just sit down with you and give you some game and then you turn around and go filing shit the next day.
Right.
Like, nah, bro, because you're going to lose. Because I can't go. I'm not an attorney, so I can't go in there and represent you.
Right.
You got to be able to go in there and articulate this yourself.
Right.
And then everything, and people always ask, like, yo, you in California? Well, I'm in Florida. I'm in New York. I'm in Texas. Everything that I filed, I didn't file nothing pertaining to California. I only used United States codes, federal codes, and Supreme Court case law. That governs the United States of America.
Right.
So, and they all, and when you go into these hearings, they like, well, this is a state hearing. You can't use federal codes in a state hearing. Who says you can't? Who says you can't? There's a Supreme Court case law. My mind is went blank, but it says that federal law is enforceable in state courts. So you can use federal law. That's why the whole point about people trying to hire an attorney is attorneys are only using Miami or Florida statutes because they're part of the Bar Association in that state.
Right.
So I didn't play state games, dog. I only use federal, and that's what I buzz down in these mentorships, these master classes, and like this right here. Right. This changed the game, dog.
For sure.
This changed the game for me, dog. And what I mean by that, this book was released December 2022.
Yeah.
From that date into now, 36 people have sent me their documents. They got custody of their kids, got their cases dismissed, got it removed off your credit report.
Damn.
Got their passport back, the license, just by reading these books, having these master classes, and having these mentorships. This right here changed the game.
Hard.
How I stopped child support legally.
That's hard, bro.
It changed the game, dog.
For sure.
Like this ain't just no regular read through book. It has my actual court documents in there, so you can follow and see. It breaks it down step by step on how I was able to challenge jurisdiction and get my case dismissed for extrinsic fraud. And I want to be clear. My case was dismissed for extrinsic fraud because I proved that they didn't follow their own procedures in the very beginning, just like I've been saying this entire sit down.
Damn, that's deep. So where can they find you, though?
ChildSupportIsFraud.com. Everything is Child Support is Fraud, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, and ChildSupportIsFraud.com. Like that's where I'm at. Child Support is Fraud on YouTube, Child Support is Fraud on Instagram. That page, dog, I'm telling you, in 1 year, it's grown by 200,000 people, and it's still mind-blowing to me, just based off of information, like people wanting to learn, and I'm showing you the actual results when people took master classes or a consultation or just read the book. Or even some people, bro, it's to the point to where some people even said, bro, I didn't buy nothing from you. I just watched the videos. I was able to get this off my credit. I was able to get my kid custody.
Damn.
Just based on the information.
Yeah.
Like, it's there, and people go do their own research.
Like, even when I seen it, I'm like, damn, that's deep. Like,
so it's bro, it's just information, and everything can be found on ChildSupportIsFraud.com.
All right. So listen, man, make sure y'all follow me on Patreon at BandClan University, man. Instagram, BandmanKevo. Twitter, BandmanKevo. Snapchat, BandmanKevo, man. I got a lot of sauce on how to get verified on Snapchat, man. Make sure y'all follow me on that. Also, my sports betting WAP, man. WAP.com/BSP Sports Picks. Make sure y'all follow that. Tap in. Famous and Wealthy, baby.